How's it going, guys? Today's topic, I want to discuss what is the difference between an IRA versus 401k, but do it in a slightly different setting. And what I mean by that is how exactly can you leverage each one of these accounts or both of these accounts to get you to the retirement that you envisioned as fast as possible with the smallest amount of effort. So there are different benefits and there are different negatives with the 401k accounts. There are different benefits, there are different negatives with the IRA accounts, but each one essentially serves its own purpose. And there's ways on how you can optimize these accounts. So as I'm speaking, please make sure to take down any notes, watch this video a couple times over so that really sinks in. And then when you're looking at your own ideal retirement scenario, kind of your dream retirement, how can you use these as individual tools in a tool belt? How can you use it to better your situation? So you need to ask yourself how each can help you achieve the retirement that you envision. Because if, let's say you want to retire at a specific age and you're saying, okay, my dream retirement scenario is never having to work again. I'm basically done with all the BS. I want to make sure that I have more than enough saved to live off of and have really that confidence, remove that financial stress so that you could ride off into the sunset and really live that retirement that you've envisioned and do it to full capacity. So always make sure to, at any point, that you're re-asking yourself these questions as you're learning something new about the 401k or negative about the 401k, and same thing with the IRA and how you can really leverage it properly. So leveraging a 401k, there's some really good uses to a 401k. First off, the whole concept of a 401k is you're working for a private company and the company's offering you some sort of employee benefits package. So what a 401k does is it ultimately forces you to start saving for retirement. It's one of these accounts that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So as an example, if somebody's making $100,000 in a given year and they put 5% of their salary into their 401k account, we know 5% or $5,000 is being contributed into that 401k account. Think of it like a bucket, but it's a bucket meant for your retirement years, a bucket that you want to try to get as fat as possible so that when you hit your ideal retirement date, you could start taking withdrawals from this bucket and use it to ladder and use it in conjunction with Social Security and other employee benefits or other savings that you've accumulated, other retirement savings to help you, to help ease your mind and ease that financial stress to say, hey, I have a boatload of money. I know what my expenses are. This is exactly, why I've accumulated this for as long as I have, for decades. The first thing is really the growth mindset of it, or the wealth accumulation. Individuals, they could be working for a company in their 20s, their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever that case is, and constantly try to accumulate these dollars because they say, okay, ideally I want to retire in my 60s, so I want to keep maxing out whatever my contribution is. I want to get some sort of match on my account, and then I want to make sure that it's growing the best possible way as per what my risk tolerance is. And something to be mindful of regarding the match is a match is essentially an incentive. So when you're working for an employer, they want you to stay there as an employee. So typically they'll give you some sort of match, some sort of incentive to make contributions into your 401k account. Because if, let's say, you have one company that's giving you a 5% match, and another company is only giving you a 3% match, well, you're probably going to want to stay with that company that's offering you the 5% match because that's more dollars that they're giving you free money that's going to match what your contribution is into your 401k account. So in that example, when somebody's making, let's say, $100,000 and they decide to put, and let's say you have one company that's giving you the 5% match, if, let's say, they put in $5,000, which is 5%, they'll also get credited $5,000 from the company. So $5,000 is going in from your side, $5,000 is going from the employer side. So now you have $10,000 of a contribution that's going into your bucket for that year. If, let's say, you put in $5,000, but the match was only 3%, the employer would only put in $3,000 because you're only going to get what up to that match number is, the match percentage is. So this is where some individuals make that mistake where they try to overfund their 401k. And I'm going to go over the negatives to 401ks and why that's typically not a wise move. It always makes sense to utilize the 401k up to what that match is because it's getting free money. And if they're giving you a match, definitely take advantage of what that match is because it's really, you're getting 100% benefit of whatever you're contributing because the employer is basically adding that additional contribution on their behalf in the form of a match. So the problems with the 401k, and a lot of individuals just basically they keep it. It's out of sight, out of mind. They're placing the contributions in there. They understand that the way on how their account grows is by the contributions they place in there and the rate of return that's coming back. Well, what determines that rate of return every year, every day is based on the investment options that you choose. So the problem with 401k accounts or typical 401k accounts is you have limited funding options there, limited investment options. So you typically only have about 20 to 25, 20 to 30 different investments to choose, or think of them as eggs in your basket to choose, where other areas might allow you to have thousands of different opportunities, different sorts of investment options that are significantly cheaper in cost but a higher quality. Different things that will have less of drag, less fees on your account, to make sure that it's really maximizing that retirement savings bucket. And it's, really what is the goal of any sort of retirement savings account, whether that be an IRA or a 401k or even just, regular cash or non-qualified monies, is you're trying to grow it as much as possible so that you could use it and you could have that kind of rainy day fund. You could have that bucket to pull from later on where you're no longer working. When you hit your retirement stage, what happens? Well, you stop working, so you stop generating that occupational income. Well, then you have to rely on what you've saved to make sure that those dollars are going to be greater than or equal to what your expenses are. And that's how you could have that proper retirement. So by having limited investment options, it's not going to be as powerful as something that has either unlimited or thousands of different investment options to choose. Also, if let's say somebody's risk averse, where they panic whenever the market goes down, and they understand the upside of the market, but it scares the hell out of them by seeing a downside risk, or they're seeing all this different speculation in the media that says the market's going to crash, and they're getting this big lump in their throat because they're like, okay, if the market crashes, am I going to be able to properly retire? So typically, if somebody is more risk averse, well, they could utilize bonds or bond related funds. The problem with bond funds is whenever interest rates increase, that could still have a negative to those bond related values. So then the other alternative might just be one stable value fund, which is just essentially a fixed account that's sitting there, but that fixed account might be very small. So when you go with other opportunities, such as an IRA, or you're able to leverage IRA accounts, because it really depends on your circumstance, which I'll get into, but you could have hundreds of different fixed options that are much higher than the stable value fund that's being paid in your 401k account. So for the individuals that's more scared of the market, and they're just saying, hey, I've already accumulated my dollars, I just want to make sure it doesn't lose or doesn't have that large of a drop. What exactly can I do? And if you have limitations to that, that could obviously be a problem. The third aspect is also taxation. Typically with a 401k account, this is a traditional 401k, an individual can go, or anytime they add a contribution into that account, they get a tax deduction from what their adjustable gross income is. So in that example, let's say somebody's making $100,000, and let's say they put $10,000 into their 401k account, their adjustable gross income, and all else things being equal. So be mindful, there's other components to it, but let's just say in a perfect world, if you put $10,000 into that pre-tax qualified retirement account, you're going to get a $10,000 tax deduction. So that's going to show, theoretically that you made $90,000 for that year. Those monies, it's not because Uncle Sam and the government is that nice. They're giving you that tax deduction now. They're allowing that account to grow tax deferred. So then when that bucket is nice and fat and you need it the most for retirement, any withdrawal you take out is going to be fully taxable. So from a taxation standpoint, if you feel as if interest rates or you feel as if taxes are going to go down in the future, well, then, it might make sense to stay with that 401k and leverage that sort of strategy. But what we've seen time and time again, and really more recently, is we have this large economic deficit. All roads are leading towards higher tax rates. So why would you be trying to take advantage of the lower tax rates now and get hurt with higher tax rates in the future, as opposed to leveraging something that might have no tax deduction now, but it grows tax-free, and then can utilize those dollars tax-free, in the future when you need it the most. And when we fast forward, let's say in an ideal retirement scenario, if somebody was taking out a $100,000 withdrawal from a taxable account, and let's say they were in a 30% tax bracket, simply put, they would only be able to net $70,000 from the $100,000 that they pulled out. As opposed to, let's say someone took a $80,000 from a tax-free bucket, even though the $80,000 initially looked less than the $100,000, it's tax-free. So that $80,000, they're able to net the pure $80,000. So that's where a smaller number could basically give you a larger result. And that's where taxation is huge, because if we have a big question mark on what's going to be taxable or what rate that's going to be taxable, that could be a large problem as you're trying to remove that financial stress to say, okay, what's going to be a perfect, beautiful dream retirement scenario. The other problem with 401k accounts is an individual is working for that company. Now, some 401ks, they allow you, when you hit age 59 and a half, they allow you to take a portion or all of your 401k monies and roll it out and roll it into an IRA. And there's different uses for doing so, which I'm going to go over. Or they'll allow you to take your monies, roll it out of the 401k, put it into a Roth IRA, or roll into an IRA and then do a conversion into a Roth IRA. So you're able to take your dollars from that tax-deferred pre-tax status to that tax-free status with the Roth. Now, be mindful when you're doing those conversions, you're going to have to pay tax on the monies that you convert. So just really be careful with that. But if, let's say, you're in a 401k account and they don't have any flexibility, meaning that you cannot touch any of your 401k dollars or roll it out until you sever employment, those are going to have some certain restrictions. You're going to limit your flexibility there. And that could also limit the flexibility from a taxation standpoint, especially when you need your dollars most, when you need to net the most amount of dollars from it, with that Roth conversion related strategy. So I hope that all of this makes sense regarding the benefits of 401ks, which is fantastic, really for the employer match, versus the negatives and how it could really hurt you. And it could limit you getting to that retirement that you've envisioned as quickly as possible with the least amount of effort. So now it comes down to leveraging an IRA. And an IRA is an individual retirement account. And think of this IRA account as a customized account. So if you're going from a traditional 401k into a traditional IRA, it's a pre-tax qualified to a pre-tax qualified. So if you were getting that tax deduction, the monies were growing tax deferred, and you did the rollover into the IRA, it's still growing tax deferred. But there's different uses to the IRA that has more flexibility, more customization involved that could get you to that dream retirement scenario as quickly as possible. So you could optimize a specific retirement goal. If, let's say, you understand that you're going to be retiring in your 60s and you might have pension income of X amount of dollars, Social Security income of X amount of dollars, but when you're figuring out what your lifestyle is and how much you actually have to budget for retirement, there may be some sort of gap there. So you could use an IRA account to close up that gap and create a max income related strategy more effectively, more efficiently than just utilizing the 401k. Because 401ks are fantastic for really that wealth accumulation stage. When you start nearing retirement, well, then you have to change your mindset to a wealth preservation and distribution strategy. How could I preserve these monies and make sure that I'm taking out the proper distributions so that me and my spouse are not going to outlive these dollars and have to go back to work when we're in our 80s, 90s, 70s, whatever that case is, because I stayed with that wealth accumulation mindset. Also, leveraging an IRA, you could use significantly less of your retirement savings. Many times individuals, they've heard the rule of thumb known as the 4% rule. And what that really goes down to is the basis of leaving your money invested in the market, staying within a combination of stocks and bonds and saying, okay, if I comfortably utilize this type of accumulation and investment related strategy, I should be able to comfortably pull out about 4% of this account every year. And there's about a 90% probability that I'm not going to outlive these monies if I try to retire in my 60s. And there's better ways on how you could have a 100% chance of success and using significantly less dollars to do so. So you could accumulate a 401k, you could accumulate IRA accounts, and then customize IRAs for specific portions, specific slivers that are going to turn on income streams for both you or you and your spouse that will last you to the day you pass away of customized IRA accounts, different things you cannot do with a 401k account. So it comes down to, by using an IRA, you could create a maximized income strategy, whatever's left over. So you're using the smallest amount of dollars, only as much as necessary, to be greater than or equal to whatever your expenses are, so that you're getting that peace of mind that a retirement paycheck is always coming to you. You never have to go back to work and get an occupational income. You're using it from your retirement savings in the form of different customized IRA accounts. So that's going to check off your income strategy. Whatever's left over is now could be used for an emergency need in case of an oh my gosh moment was to occur, and you need to basically pull from something that's liquid to pay for, that ailment, or pay for a new car, or pay for, you had damage done to your house, or some other, you had to, take a quick trip to visit a family member and take care of them because they had, some sort of medical ailment. Whatever that situation is, you want to make sure that you have about 6 to 12 months of what your expenses are to some sort of liquid reserve that you could pull from, at any given point in time. And then really the emergency need, that's going to be subjective to the individual situation and what they find is most important and how much they want to leave there. And then really that last stage is the fund monies, is saying, okay, if I checked off my income strategy, if I checked off my emergency strategy, and I have all this excess money left over, well, now I could use it for fun. Now I could use it to try to combat inflation. I could use this towards some sort of growth strategy, that different things that could beat out the pace of inflation, something that maybe you can't accomplish on an income strategy or an emergency related need, because those are going to be more of a conservative play, and something of more of that safety, that guaranteed side. So the growth is more of, okay, it's going to ebb and flow, or it's just something that could beat out the pace of inflation, that I could at least create the solution there, but you're getting your baseline covered with your income strategy and your emergency need strategy. So that's really that tertiary, that ancillary, related bucket. But in my mind, I believe it's the most important for a successful retirement. If you have the most amount of money in that growth and inflation related, bucket or buckets or strategies, well, then you're winning. You know that you have that peace of mind. You could really live your dream retirement and do whatever you've envisioned and get there as quickly as possible, because mathematically everything checks out. So I've obviously explained all the great uses of the IRA, but what are some of the problems with it? The first problem is there's no match. It's an individual retirement account. So you're not going to be able to match yourself. With a 401k, you do have a match. So that's where, from an accumulation standpoint, it might make more sense to leverage that 401k, at least use up the match. Now, everything left over, where would be a detriment with the limited funding options for the 401k, that's where you could go and start to create an IRA for that secondary accumulation related strategy. But there is no match there. The other aspect is also 59.5 rules. So with a 401k, what's pretty unique is you could ultimately retire at age 55, 56, before age 59.5. And there's ways on how you could take out systematic withdrawals to get you to that age 60 marker, where an IRA, you're going to be subject to different penalties if you try to pull out monies from your IRA account before age 59.5. And there's different ways on how you could do it at substantially equal payments, known as Rule 72T. But for the basic premise of IRA and for retirement planning purposes, really that 59.5 rule is crucial to understand, because if, let's say you ideally want to retire before age 59.5, you're accumulating monies in a 401k, it may make sense to leave a portion of dollars in the 401k, take out distributions from that 401k to ladder you, and then have a new spigot turn on from your IRA account at age 59.5 or age 60, so that you're not getting penalized. You're not getting a 10% penalty from the IRS by taking out your IRA before age 59.5. So that's obviously a large detriment that you want to avoid at all costs. Also, when you're comparing a Roth IRA versus a Roth 401k, I was talking about a pre-tax, a traditional 401k and a traditional IRA. But a Roth 401k and a Roth IRA, what happens is you're placing your dollars into those accounts post-tax. So you're not getting a tax deduction. The monies are going in there post-tax. They're growing tax-free, and then you could pull your monies out tax-free. There's a significant difference, especially as we're going into the 2024 year. There's a significant difference between 401k Roth contribution limitations versus 401k Roth IRA contribution limitations. Also, if you make too much money, you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA account. With a Roth 401k, it's an employer-sponsored plan. So you could make a boatload of money. You could contribute into that Roth 401k, be able to maximize what your contribution is, and really maximize your taxation potential in that tax-free bucket, because you were leveraging the Roth 401k with those higher contribution limits. So it really goes by a case-by-case basis on how much you want to contribute. And especially if you're above the age of 50, you have certain catch-up contributions that you can make into that and just magnify those contributions that much more, and magnify the growth rate and really that tax-free bucket better than a Roth IRA account. But it really depends on if your employer offers a Roth 401k account or not. Many employers do not. That's some that do. It might make sense to leverage a portion into the traditional, leverage the other portion into the Roth 401k, and really have the best of both worlds so that you know that you're utilizing your chips the right way. And at the end of the day, what is it doing for you? It's trying to get you to the retirement that you envisioned that much faster. You're trying to remove that financial stress by leveraging these like individual tools and toolbelt. How can I make it? How can I get there faster, quicker, with the least amount of effort? That's truly possible with these sorts of accounts. So when you're constantly asking yourself that retirement envision question and saying, okay, is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me? Is this going to help me? Is this going to hurt me? How exactly can you utilize this from a solution standpoint? And like, what are the benefits of trying to configure which account to use? And at the end of the day, you want to figure out what your dream retirement is and make sure that you're on that correct trajectory, you're on those correct steps. You want to leverage the correct accounts to remove that financial stress. So if you're trying to accumulate and your main goal is to say, hey, I want to get to this specific number because I know if I get to this number, I could use it for, a more fulfilled retirement need. I could use it for my income needs, for my emergency needs, for my growth related needs. I could use it for some sort of legacy that I want to leave to my loved ones, make sure that they're protected upon my passing. There's different accounts and there's different ways to do it. The 401k has that purpose of accumulation and using the match and maximizing it out that way. The IRA, you have more of those customized opportunities where you get to a point where you're able to utilize your 401k, take all or a portion of that 401k, roll it over to an IRA so that it could get you to that retirement that you envisioned and remove that financial stress. So what we're known for is helping clients achieve their dream retirement without financial stress and deathbed regrets. What do I mean by deathbed regrets? Well, when you're in retirement and you don't have any sort of financial stress because you know that that retirement paycheck is coming to you, that's obviously a good thing. You could do whatever you dreamt of at that point. It doesn't mean that you have to go and create another business and do all these, crazy things, lifestyle, but you could really ride off and it could be something as simple as, you know what, I want to spend more time with my grandkids, with my kids. I want to be more present because I was working my ass off all the way up until this point, and I want to make sure that these accounts are set up correctly to be able to remove this stress, so that when I'm on my deathbed, I'm looking up at my family, I'm looking back at my life. At least I know that there was no stone left unturned. I was able to do it effectively and efficiently and as quickly as possible, even if I didn't think that was possible to retire, at that specific age. I thought I had to work so much longer. So that's where I say, stop working and start living as quickly as possible. So the individuals that we typically work with, and we don't work with everyone, we understand our lane and we do our lane very well. It's typically individuals that are nearing retirement and they're really stressed. They're stressed that they're going to outlive their retirement savings, and they're not sure because they know if they outlive those retirement savings, they're going to have to go back to work in their 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever that case is, because they ran their well dry. They're also really stressed about how a downward market loss could impact their overall chance of retirement success. They're stressed that they're going to have to significantly reduce their lifestyle. They've been spending money the same way for the last 10, 20, 30 years. When they hit their magical age, their ideal retirement date, do they have to have a large decrease in their lifestyle just to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to outlive the spending, or can they actually spend with confidence? And then lastly, what I believe is most important is how you could stop working and start living as quickly as possible with the smallest amount of effort. And how does that process work? I'm so terrified. I only know how to work for my company, and I'm really confused. I'm really scared about when it starts coming down to that finish line. Like, what am I supposed to do? Who do I call for my employee benefits? How am I supposed to roll over this money? Where am I supposed to put this money into? So we try to alleviate all that stress and try to provide some sort of certainty that you could truly live every day without that financial stress, without those deathbed regrets, and really make your retirement the most possible that it could be. So if you're interested in a phone call or setting up an appointment with us, we're offering you a free 20-minute connection call. You could either call our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-566-1002, or you could click the link in the description of this video, and that'll bring you directly to our digital calendar and just tell us what's on your mind. Once again, we don't work with everyone. We know really that lane, the individuals that are nearing retirement and they're really stressed about those certain factors. And we try to provide that clarity for those individuals so that they could truly live. Just try to stop working, start living as quickly as possible with the smallest amount of effort. And, I really hope that you found value in this. You understand the difference between the 401k versus the IRA, and this has at least helped you in some way. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.